Oh.
Oh, yeah.
Well, hello there. Again, Brenda at Blue Planet Travel. And today we are chatting with Chas Elstner, one of my favorite comics. So today is going to be a treat. So, how long have you been in comedy?
Let's see. I started in 1979, May of 1979. And, yeah, I mean, it's a long story of how I got here. When I was in high school, I wanted to become a comical actor, but my teacher said you need to learn how to audition. So the way you learn that is just to go out and audition for everything, even if it's not for your part. And the first audition I came across was for Ringling Brothers Circus.
Really?
Yes. And so they offered me if I would quit high school, and I said, no, I got to finish high school first. So while I was waiting, now this was right after high school, I had to wait till September to see if I got accepted. So I decided I'll go into the circus, and I became an acrobat. That was 80 pounds ago. So I was an acrobat, and then
You really had to work out and stuff for that, didn't you?
Well, I'd been in gymnastics in high school, so it was just a natural switch over to that. And then I went to the Ringling Brothers Clown College. I toured for them for a year. We went to New York City. I saw a stand-up comedian, and I said, that's what I want to be. So I started that. I learned my craft, and then I got on a college tour, and then I went to Hollywood and figured, okay, I'm going to now be the comical actor. I'm going to give up this stand-up comedy. But the thing is that, comedy was starting to become hot in the summer of '85. So I said, well, okay, I'll still go to the Improv and the Comedy Store. And that's when Dana Carvey got Saturday Night Live. And his agent was looking for a replacement to replace all his gigs that he had out on the road. And they had saw me and they said, would you like to take over his spots? And I was like, sure. And so my agent, all of a sudden when I finished those 8 weeks worth of work, my agent went, I don't know what you did out there, but all these clubs now want to book you. So I went, well, I guess I'm back into stand-up comedy here. And and then all of a sudden I started opening for a lot of bands. I started doing a lot of TV work, and that kept on going till like 2002, and I started working cruise ships then.
In 2002?
In 2002, and then in 2010, Carnival saw me, and I kept on saying with all these other cruise lines that I was working with, I did about 5 other cruise lines. I kept on saying, no, if we're going to do this, I want to do this as a living. Let's constantly do this. And they'd always go, well, here's your 10 weeks. And this cruise line would go, here's your 10 weeks. And I'd go, this is not what I want. And then finally, when I got on with Carnival, they said, how do we get you all the time? And I went, now we're talking. So
you spend how much time, in a year, do you actually spend on the show?
So in this next 12 months, I will probably do 60 cruises. So I'm out at sea probably 300 days out of the year.
Really?
Yeah, and that's exactly what I want.
So what do you do when you're not doing your shows on the ship?
So I spend a lot of time writing, as you know. Because this food is so wonderful, I have got to exercise all the time, and I was having some knee problems every time I tried to jog on the track or on the treadmill. So now I just walk, and I will do 10 miles a day, just walking and walking. Whatever my iPhone tells me I've hit 10, then I'm done. But I'll listen to podcasts, and I'll stop and jot down more ideas that I get, and just
you see something funny and you jot it down, right?
Which becomes a problem because you're listening to things, and people, they want to come up to you and say, oh, what a great show, and a lot of times I don't hear them, and I walk by them, I'm sure they're going, what a rude person. So
Yeah, we saw you up there doing some of your laps. And
Yeah.
we couldn't resist to say hello.
yeah. And you know, I'll find different places to walk. You know, some ships there's a real private area just for the crew members. You know, and then on some ships there's a sports deck where you can walk. But on this ship it's difficult. You've got to go through the people.
Yeah, well, I'm blaming COVID for mine.
Yes.
So, since 2002, is it you said that you've been doing strictly Carnival? Do you do any other?
From 2002 to 2010, I did about 5 other cruise lines.
That's right.
It's 2010 is when they made the offer to me, and that's exactly what I wanted.
So since 2010, you've been strictly Carnival?
Once in a while, I'll do other cruise lines, but Carnival is my bread and butter.
You don't do any shows on the land anymore?
No, and still I'll do that because you know, a lot of times the way it works is that they can send me from one ship to the other ship, and then all of a sudden there's 5 days that they couldn't fill, so they just send me home. And then there's a lot of times where club dates or, you know, a private party wants me for those dates.
So you stay busy even when you're not on the ships?
Yeah.
Okay. So you're a very busy person. You're a very busy person.
Yeah.
And I know you on the show they mentioned that you opened for Gloria Estefan.
Yeah, that was
2 years.
For 2 years, I opened for her. I've opened for 2 tours. I opened for the Pointer Sisters. And then there's like 28 other bands that I opened for. Between 89 and 91, it was just all rock and roll bands that I was opening for. Phoebe Snow, Shauna, Brenda Lee, Extreme, if anyone remembers that band. The Vixens, no one's ever heard of them.
I have.
Marshall Tucker Band. It was a really fun time. It was.
So you travel a whole lot. I wonder how many miles you have on you.
I've kept a little note on that. I've probably put on 4 million miles on airplanes. And people go, oh, well, then you probably take these huge vacations. I go, wait, hold on. Some of those, at least 2 million of those were on like Pan Am, Northwestern, Western, Eastern, all these companies that have gone out of business, and so did my miles. So.
Oh, no. Wow.
Driving to all these gigs, I put on 1.5 million miles.
A lot of traveling.
Yeah.
I don't know how
That's why when some people they go, oh man, you got the life. You only go up there for a half hour. That's great. And I'm like, wait a minute. It took a long time to learn how to do that half hour.
Yeah, that was another thing I wanted to talk to you about is, you know, the process. I mean, different comedians have different processes.
Right.
They come up with their comedy acts and stuff, and I know it's not easy.
Fortunately, when I started in Chicago, there was a club owner that really cared about comedians, and he had this board in the back, and it was his rules. And if you want to work for my club, you need to follow these rules. And number 1 was be different. And the only way you can be different from all the other comedians is to be yourself. So I've always taken that to heart. And, you know, with all my training in the circus as a clown, I decided, well, I better bring that onto stage. You know, why did you get all that training and not use it? And so in the 80s, that was a big problem because in the 80s, it was all like, this is an art form and you should only do it this way, set up punchline, and you have to have an attitude, and that attitude is to put everyone down. And I decided, no, that's not what I want. I want this to be fun with humor. So I stuck to my guns, and it's funny, all the people that told me I should do it this way, they're not in the business anymore, and I am.
There you go.
So
you're doing something right, I'm telling you.
Yeah, I hope so.
And I noticed, like, in your show, there are times, which I noticed, there's times where someone will get you off because being around more comics, I noticed that you got the timing, you got all that, and somebody gets you off your topic. You did such a good job, not only keeping the audience engaged, but also getting back on track, getting the.
Right.
How do you take a long time to get to that point where you could just get people back on track?
That's through years of failure, and so the first thing, like this happened, you're talking about what happened the other night.
Yes.
And the first thing I have to do is I have to put a bookmark. I go, okay, how do I remember where I was so that when I come back here, I know how to get back here. So that's the first thing I start doing. Now, for those of you in YouTube land that don't know what I'm talking about here, what happened was there was a lady that was very drunk.
Yes.
Yes.
Inebriated.
Right. And she decided that she wanted to heckle. So the rules that I've come up for myself is that when you get on stage, you have 10 seconds for people to like you. And you have 10 minutes for people to fall in love with you. And you cannot deal with a heckler until the audience loves you. Mm-hmm. Otherwise, they think you're picking on them. So fortunately, when she started up, I had already earned the love from the audience. Now, when you're dealing with a heckler, you don't want to lose that love. So you're only trying to stop them. Mm-hmm. Some comics, they want to actually bury that person. And I go, no, because then they'll think you're picking on that person. So where I got concerned about the whole thing is when she was standing up, and it looked like she was going to fall down. And that's when I was like, whoa, 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 whoa. So.
Yeah, I noticed that. But I've seen other comics, get totally lost where the audience, you end up having more than one, where they all just seem to. Oh. And next thing you know, it's like your train has derailed.
Right.
Have you ever had that happen?
Yeah, because, what is that saying? People treat you the way you demonstrate how you want to be treated or something. So my whole thing is I don't want to play more with you. I just want you to be an audience member. So.
Well, I'm quite certain that a lot of people on the ships may not actually have the opportunity to see comics. Mm-hmm. Now, my husband and I, we've gone to comedy shows before we got on the ships, and some people just don't know that etiquette and stuff like that. Maybe after a while, also with the drink packages and stuff, people lose the ability to actually remember the etiquette or have the etiquette.
Well, also there's a problem in comedy where people think that if I become a heckler, I'll actually help the show, because they're always talking about hecklers. Mm-hmm. And rarely does that happen. But when it does happen, you got to take care of it. And so I think people they think, oh, I should be a heckler. A lot of times people say, well, I'm funny. I can do this.
It's a big difference standing up on that stage and on cue making people laugh than sitting around in a group of friends, because they're in the clique. They know the background of the joke. You know what I mean?
Right.
So it's totally different. And I was very impressed how you handled her the other night. I'm just saying. I got scared when she was standing on that chair.
Yeah, I was like, okay. And that's why I said that joke. Wait a minute, I own stock in Carnival. Now I'm really concerned.
Yes, you did say that. We own stock too, so you helped us out. So another thing I was wanting to talk to you about is who's inspired you? You've had anyone that presently or in the past inspired you?
So when it comes to stand-up, in the mid-'70s, there was Steve Martin, and I just loved how he was this huge. I mean, you would actually. This is in the old days when you got the TV magazine, and then you would look up on the Tonight Show and you would see what all the guests were.
Yeah.
And then Wednesday, that Steve Martin guy is going to be on. And so it really. I don't know how to describe it in words, but remember, it was a huge thing.
Yep.
And then you would.
Well, that's back when there was 3 channels.
Right, exactly. And so he inspired me so much because stand-up then was just this private thing, and he made it this huge arena thing. And that's the way I wanted it to be. And then as I got older, we got to go back a little bit. So in 1972, George Carlin came out with Class Clown. And that's the first time I went, wow. Because he made it actually sound like you could possibly be a stand-up comedian if you wanted to be. You just had to think, you know? And here, I've said this before. So in 1979, I got started, and in 1980, I wanted to do this full time, and my father was like, well, what about college? And I said, give me 4 years on this stand-up comedy thing. If I'm not making a living in 4 years, then I'll go to college. And after about a year and a half into this 4 years, I just went, I can't figure this out. I can't figure out how you make a living, because there was no comedy clubs back then. It was all showcases. Either you went and someone had to discover you in a showcase for you to open up for a band. So there was a huge leap that you had to make, and I could not figure out how to do it. And I remember it was a Saturday, and I just decided, okay, I can't do this. And I was going to call my dad on Sunday and said, I'm coming home. So I figured Saturday night, I am going to just go into the club and have fun. I'm not going to try to work on any material. I'm just going to go up there, and I don't care. And I told no one that I was going to quit. And it just happened to be George Carlin was playing a huge theater down the street in Chicago. And afterwards came to the comedy club to watch comedians.
Really?
And after he watched my set, he came up to me and said, don't ever quit. And that's after I'd said that to nobody. So that was my inspiration to keep on going.
Well, that is something.
But yeah, I think most comedians want to be like a George Carlin, you know.
That's something, because like a lot of people I've talked to, talk about more recent comedians and stuff. But that's neat that he actually came to your show.
Yeah,
told you that
not my show, just the comedy club. Yeah,
you saw your show. Your show.
Right.
Sorry, you saw your show, and then told you exactly to do the exact opposite of what you were thinking.
Right.
Talking about guardian angel showing up, huh?
There have been many moments in my career where that's happened, and so that's why I'm always listening to everyone going, oh, are you supposed to give me a message? Okay, I'm listening.
And you certainly did. Look at what you got. You got here.
There's another message that was given to me. It was back in, I think this was 82 or 83. I'd gone out to LA to see what the big boys were doing. And there was this guy, wasn't famous, but he wore a motorcycle jacket named Jay Leno. And he had watched my act, and he had told me, he goes, you know what your problem is you care way too much about your act, about how the volume of laughter that you get. He goes, the day that you can just say, I don't care. You care about your show, but you don't care, as you go along. He goes, that's the attitude you've got to. And I started developing that about 2 years ago, knowing this whole time that that's what he had said way back then. And I've seen my shows improve just by having this attitude of, I can only do what I can do,
So do you tape yourself when you're doing that, or is you just going by the laughter when you say that, like, and your improvement?
Well, you want to, every comedian wants to get that standing ovation every time they come off stage, but sometimes it ain't going to happen, no matter how great your show was. So you have to have the attitude of, well, all right, I don't care. I did what I did. You're laughing. I got rebooked. That's all it's...
Yeah, I've heard some comics say that they tape themselves to watch themselves.
Yeah,
Have you ever done that?
Oh, I tape myself as much as I can, but I can't I can't sit in my cabin every day listening to every show over again. It's usually like I'll tape, and then if there was something that came out of my mouth that I saw, oh, that was pretty good. What was that? And then I'll go back to my cabin and listen to that. But
Yeah, I know. You're talking about watching yourself.
yeah,
I usually don't like watching myself on these. So thank you so much. This
Thank
has been
you.
fabulous. I
All
so
right.
appreciate you taking the time to talk to
Yeah.
us and stuff, and hang out with us. So, is there anything that you have coming up, or anything like that? Like when you're on land, do you have any like specials? Like maybe I know you have a dry bar special.
I do have a dry bar special. That is, there again. When we recorded that, that was just before the pandemic got started. And I just decided I'm just going to tape this, and it paid well. So I was just really just doing it for the pay. I don't care. But you have to be totally clean on
Yep.
that dry bar special. And my agent took that, and he went, we don't have really tape on you that's just totally clean. And I have gotten so much work from my agent passing that around, or people going to the dry bar area, seeing it, and then booking me. And I'm just like, wow, something I didn't expect.
I know that it's difficult to be more clean than it is to have the dirty and the language in it.
Right, because when someone says you can do whatever you want to get that laugh, then I will take full advantage of that. That doesn't mean I want to be really dirty, but I do want to be able to go to the edge of wherever that edge might be. So
Yeah, I've seen like one of the things that stick in my mind. I don't know why it's stuck in there right now. Is I remember seeing Lenny Schmidt.
yeah,
And he's doing his clean show, and somebody is trying to get to his chair, and he's talking, you're so stealthy and all that, because he was actually coming in front of everybody and kind of, I guess, interrupted. And so the guy says something about he goes, you're not being very stealthy. And he says, don't tell me you're a doctor. He goes, I am. He goes, what? And then he says, what kind of doctor? And I think he said a urologist or something. He goes, wait a minute. If I have rules, you got to play by the rules too. He goes, you just mentioned 3 things I'm not allowed to talk about.
yes. Yeah, that happens a lot. And then
But you could see where he wanted to go with that, but
Right.
he couldn't. Yeah. and
when
it's
that
hard.
happens to me in a family-friendly show, the audience sometimes will say something, and I'll go, "Whoa! Everyone, remember, he said that, not me."
I'm sure that does pop up, doesn't it?
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So could be a big challenge right there, kind of.
Yep.
Because you gotta watch it, But you have anything you want to promote? YouTube, TikTok, all those lovely things.
Everything social media is Chas Comedy. That's all one word, and Chas is with an S. So it's Chas Comedy. If you Facebook, Chas Comedy. Instagram, Chas Comedy. My website is chascomedy.com.
Make it simple. Yep.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Yep.
So, well, thank you so much.
Thank you.
And here at Blue Planet Travel, you deserve a great vacation. Let Blue Planet get you there. Bye for now.